Hello, you're welcome to this topic. We shall be looking at understanding ODL pedagogy and need analysis. I am Professor Owajaja Juliet Inequity. Now, let's quickly look at the learning outcomes. By the end of this topic, you will be able to discuss the basics of ODL pedagogy, perform needs analysis to enhance effective course material development. Now, what are the bases of open and distant learning pedagogy? The word pedagogy is not new to us because we have it in the traditional mode. But why the discussion in open and distance learning? The peculiarity of the pedagogy used in open and distance learning could be traced to the physical and the transactional distance that we have in open and distance learning. The physical distance, it could come in the geographical factor, it could be in the space or time. But the transactional distance deal with the psychological part and communication that learner will normally have with the facilitators and learners going to have with the content and the learners going to have with the code learners. But at a distance, most of these things are not fully accomplished. And that's what brought in peculiarity in the pedagogy that is required in open and distance learning. So, in this regard, the learner is very important. The teacher has an attention and the negotiated control to ensure a high impact is achieved in communication. Then again, we have to look at the key components of pedagogy in open and distance learning. What are the components? There are three major components of pedagogy. It's not a straight jacket thing. You have the pedagogy you will need when you are developing the content. The area of content structure. We're going to take that first. In content structure, what are the pedagogy you will need? You need the learning theories. It's a pedagogy. And we're talking about pedagogy, you are talking about strategy of how something needs to be done. So you need the learning theories, you need the teaching method. Again, this is a misconception sometimes. When you're talking about pedagogy, most minds go to just teaching methods alone. Pedagogy goes beyond just teaching method. Teaching method is a part of it that you're going to use in the pedagogy you're going to use in achieving what you need to do. They will have to look at the curriculum design, the structure, the pattern, the presentation. Then you look at the assessment and evaluation. Is a pedagogical thought that is required. The interactivity, in case of interactivity, you have three levels of interactivities. You have interactivity that cuts across the learner to the content, and learner to the facilitator. Then we're talking about the class management. Again, we need a pedagogy to be able to carry the learners along, motivate them to learn using their learning environment. Then differentiation, which sometimes we could equally refer to as individualization. Individualized system of learning whereby you give attention to the individual needs. Then we're talking about the learner-centered, letting the learner be at the middle of learning, putting the learner at the center of learning. Then we're talking about the blended learning, whereby you have a combination of face-to-face and the online parts. In this regard, we're designing there is a structure, strategy that will help you determine what you want to learn virtually and what you want to learn in person. Then we have the experiential learning, whereby you have a learning that will involve practical structure to develop skills, knowledge, like the internship. Then you have inclusive education. In area of inclusive education, this includes having something to do that all learners will not be advantaged, so to say. However, including the disabled, those that have disability in any form of disability. And it is not only restricted to students with disability, it's equally involved those that are not of equal economic status. We need to recognize them because they are not equal of economic status. That might determine what they will have access to. That might determine the gadget they may be able to purchase or buy. So, in this regard, they are quite important. Then we look at the flexibility in learning, access to learning, access to the document, the content you're presenting, and the use of technology. Yes, technology could be advanced, but is it meeting the need at that particular time? Is it meeting the learning outcome? These are things that need to be considered while working through the content structure. And this is that the pedagogy when you are dealing with online learning. The next one we look at is the content delivery. When you are now dealing with content delivery, what are the pedagogy you look at? You look at the self-directed or instructor-led. These two are vital when you are developing a course material. The first thing you need to find out is the material going to be self-directed? Is it going to be instructor-led? Because if it is self-directed, it will inform the content structure. If it is also instructor-led, it will inform what you have in the content structure. Then you could use a flipped classroom technique whereby the students have access to, you expose them to read at their own pace, watch video at their own pace. Then before you have a live section where you discuss what they have watched, or you come to the live section and take a quiz. Then you have the synchronous real-time communication with the students. This can happen in different dimensions. It can be instant testing, instant messaging, and it could be through video conferencing. Then you have the asynchronous. Asynchronous is a method that is not real time, but you will still work within a scheduled period of time, but not real time. This could be through discussion forum. We can access this through Discord. That's one way you could do this. Now, again, we have the third part, performing learning activities. When you are dealing with student learning activities and you are structuring the content, you need to find out whether the student is going to do it as an individual, individualistic. That means it's not going to do it in collaboration with anybody. Or transmissive. Do you want to send textual notes, text, or you want to send already recorded videos to them? Or there are things they need to look at before they come to the class. Maybe you have a field work for them, it's transmissive, and they have to post it. Maybe they did a record of it, or you have done the record, you send it to them to watch, or collaborating, a group work. So these are the focus of pedagogy in online learning or in open and distance learning. So it's divided into three basic parts. You have the content structure, content delivery, and performing the learning activities. Now, we have another interesting topic we need to look at here, which is need analysis for effective course material development. Why do we need to carry out a need analysis? Who are those that we need to consider when carrying out a need analysis? First, need analysis is very important because it will help you to get the right resources, know the right activity that will meet up with the learning outcome. Now, who are those that you need to consider? The learners. The learners are the center of it. Although these days there is a school of thought that says no, it shouldn't just be learner, learner, learner. We have to bring in the society. So the society is there too. But in this instance, who is the first user of the course material you are going to prepare is the learners. So you need to find out what the learners really need. And it is assumed this would have been embedded in their curriculum. If it is not there, you look out for it before you go into developing the course. Then you have to look at the employers. And looking at the employers, you need to find out because this is where the economic gain comes in. When the learners finish, they are going back to the field to put into practice what they have learned. And who are those who employ them? They are the employers. So what is it they need? They come to the society, which they've done to the economic situation, the economic that is required for them to work on this. And at the same time, how what the students have learned, now looking at the outcome, the impact that is going to make on the students, how is it going to impact the society, then the public at individual level. So in any of this, we need to consider it while you are developing the course material. And how do you integrate it? Why do working with course material involve the learners? You can use those that are already graduated. Then you call the employers related to the course you are developing, inform them, society, or you can carry out a survey. When you carry out a survey, it will equally help you to get what you need to do. Then we now need to think about the need assessment, identifying the gap. And in identifying the gap, in this regard, it could be what is that as a need assessment that will make the course material effective? What is it? In this regard, you need to identify. It's in two categories. If it's a new course material you are developing, definitely you need to find out what is missing that need to be embedded. And if it is old material you are reviewing, find out what is there that is not meeting the already existing needs. Then again, we now have to look at the need analysis and define the root. Did it occur? This is what you need to find out. Why did it occur? And finding out why it occurred, you'll be able to know where the solution will come. And that will take us to the last part, integration of need analysis finding into course material development. Now you have done need assessment, you have done your need analysis, you now know where the root cause are, and the root cause have helped you to come up with what will likely be the solution. So what do you do? If you look through here, let's see. Now, if you look through here, you have the serial number, you have findings, you have recommendations, method of integration, required resource. So what do you do? Finding. What did you find as the need analysis? Now, what are the recommendations you are making based on what you found? Then what method of integration? Remember, we have looked at the methods. We have had different pedagogy. From the pedagogy, what method among the pedagogy do you think will fit to integrate it into the content? What resource will be required? Then in this area, you indicate the areas that require change in the existing program or course. And if it's a new course, you now have to write in there what needs to be included. So, in summary, we have looked at the basics to open and distance pedagogy, key components of pedagogy, the open and distance learning, and need analysis for effective course material development, needs analysis by identifying the root cause of what the gaps are, then integration of need analysis findings into course material development. So I would like you to go through it at your own spare time once again. So thank you for your attention.